Month 4 is a very important month. It is a pinnacle month, and it's one of those months that it will, if you do this right, it will play a significant role in your overall metabolic health. Welcome to First Responder Fitness with Carl Wimmer, where armor is forged through mental, spiritual, and physical preparation. Welcome to First Responder Fitness with Carl Wimmer. I am your host, Carl Wimmer, and I am so glad that you are joining me here today for month 4 of Habits to Healthy in 1 Year, our free program that is easy to follow along with. I would just encourage you, if you haven't followed along this far up until month 4, it's just fine. Just join us now, because this is a program that is set up that you can start at any point during a 12-month period of time. You can start at any time and just follow along where you are. You could make this your month 1 and just follow us along for the next 12 months, and you will be absolutely just fine. The Habits to Healthy in 1 Year program is a program that was born out of the idea that so many of us fail at our New Year's resolutions. As we were approaching the new year a few months back, I was thinking, I set resolutions and I try to keep them. But if you're like a majority of people, you're just busy living life. And the fact is that by this time, which we are now into April, the overwhelming majority of people who have set fitness goals back in January, they've long forgotten about them. They're not doing them. They're not following up. They haven't even thought of them in weeks, or if we're honest, in a couple months. By April, more than 90% of the people who set fitness, health, and longevity goals have forgotten about it. If you haven't, good for you. You are one of the rare ones, and I am so proud of you. If you have forgotten your goals and you haven't done what you wanted to do, it is not too late. It is never, ever too late. Not until they put you 6 feet under is it ever too late to start focusing on your health and your longevity. And that's what we are doing here at First Responder Fitness. What we decided to do is we were going to start using what is a very powerful tactic called habit stacking. And what it is this program, the Habits to Healthy in 12 months or in a year, is very basic. Very, very basic. But it is the very basic things. It's the basic building blocks that you need, that if you follow for the rest of your life, it will not only improve your metabolic health, your brain health, your heart health. It'll improve your longevity and make it so that you are living longer and healthier than you would have without it. And so these habits are easy, they're small, and they're manageable. And you do them for a month, and then you stack on another one, and you do both of them for a month, and then you stack on another one. So at the end of a year, you've got 12, 13, 15 different habits that you are now doing that does just absolutely improves your physical fitness, your health, your longevity. Well, month 4 is a very important month. It is a pinnacle month, and it's one of those months that it will, if you do this right, it will play a significant role in your overall metabolic health. Month 4 of Habits to Healthy in 1 Year is increasing your protein consumption and your fiber consumption. Yes, that's right. This one habit could be the single biggest ingredient in changing your metabolic health, depending on what issues you deal with right now. The fact is that in America, the majority of Americans eat what is called the SAD diet, the standard American diet that is far too caloric, number one, way too many calories. Number two, it has way too many simple carbohydrates and sugars and things that, because highly palatable, highly processed, highly sugared, highly refined foods that are not good for you. That is garbage food. And if you eat garbage, you're going to get garbage out of your body. If you garbage in, garbage out. And I know that's an old saying from the 1980s. It probably dates back longer than that, but I just remember hearing it in PE class when I was a kid. Garbage in, garbage out. And we are surrounded by garbage food these days. And it is so hard to pay attention. What should I eat? What shouldn't I eat? And as you know, I'm a huge advocate of what many nutritionists call single ingredient whole foods. What that means is that it's not a processed food. It's not a potato chip in a bag. It is a sweet potato. You bake a sweet potato. That is a single ingredient. It's got one ingredient. It's a sweet potato. You cook a sweet potato. You can put stuff on it. Absolutely. Puts, whatever you like on your sweet potato, as long as it's not too caloric, not too sugary. You can chop it up and make sweet potato fries in the air fryer. We don't like deep fat fried things, but, just single ingredient. Chicken breast, chicken, steak, those types of things are single ingredient foods. And so we're a strong advocate of making the overwhelming majority of your diet, single ingredient, wholesome, whole foods. Berries, raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, those types of things. If you've been following along this far, you have already been tracking everything you eat. That was one of the first habits we got into, which is downloading MyFitnessPal or Chronometer and keeping track of everything that you eat, everything. And if you noticed this, if you just kept eating like you normally do, but you've tracked it, you have probably noticed that you have an overabundance of carbohydrates, an overabundance of fat, an overabundance of sugars, and a way underabundance of protein and fiber. And we want to flip the script on that. We want to switch that around. And we don't switch that around by tracking every single macro and tracking every single micro ingredient that you're consuming. That becomes overwhelming, and you won't keep that habit up. For the rest of your life, if you just did one thing when it comes to your diet, you would be better off than the overwhelming majority of those on the standard American diet. And that one thing is increase and track your protein consumption. I've done an entire episode on protein and why it is so important. It is the mighty macro, and I absolutely encourage you to go back and watch that episode on protein. But why does protein matter? It matters for a whole host of things. But let's list, for this particular episode, the top 3 things that protein does for you. Number 1, muscle growth. You cannot grow muscle without protein, without a continual intake of protein. The body builds muscle really quite simply. It requires a stimulus, which is weightlifting, and then it requires energy, which are calories. Okay, so a stimulus, energy, or calories, protein, and water. You need those 4 things in order to grow muscle. If any of those 4 things are lacking, you will not grow muscle. That's why one of our habits to healthy earlier this year was increase your water consumption. Drink more water. You need to be drinking enough water, and you need to be consuming enough protein to build muscle. It also, in addition to, and along with building and growing muscle, it preserves your muscle. Protein helps preserve your muscle, especially as you age. We all know that age loves to just destroy your muscle. There is a medical term called sarcopenia, which is the degradation or the decline of muscle mass in your body. And if you allow sarcopenia to take over and the decline of muscle mass to continue, eventually you get to the point where you have a hard time walking, you have a hard time going upstairs, you have a hard time going downstairs, you cannot function. You hear often about elderly people who fell and broke their hip. Oh, grandma fell and broke her hip. Grandpa fell and broke his hip. They fall and break their hip because they don't have the muscle mass to prevent themselves from falling. Let's say they're going down the stairs and they don't have enough muscle to stop themselves as they're heading down the stairs. They're stepping off a curb. They're stepping over something, and they don't have the muscle strength to stop themselves from falling. Then when they fall, they don't have the muscle mass to absorb the fall. Muscle is preserved through protein consumption and working out and exercising. So protein is a non-negotiable when it comes to health and longevity. It supports muscle repair, prevents muscle loss, and it especially prevents muscle loss during a fat cut when you're losing fat. We're not quite to summer yet. We're just at the beginning of April. And if you're still working on getting your summer bod, you have time to do it, but you need to start getting in that calorie deficit. If you're in a calorie deficit, but you are not prioritizing protein, you're going to lose more muscle, probably as much muscle as you do fat. That, as a side note, is one of the problems with this injection that is so popular right now, the Ozempic injections and things like that. I am not someone who rails against that because obesity is an issue in this country, and anything that helps with obesity is something I support. The problem is they've found that those who use Ozempic and the other injections that really curb your appetite and make it so you can't eat and you lose weight, they find that people that do that but don't lift weights, if they don't change their daily habits, they are losing an incredible amount of muscle mass. Now, it's not the injection that's making them lose the muscle mass. It's the fact that they're in a calorie deficit, they're not getting enough protein, and they're not lifting weights. So you need to prioritize protein. So I just gave you the first thing, why protein matters. The second reason protein matters so much is that it boosts your metabolism. Now, what do I mean by that? Ultimately, this is one of those areas of winning around the edges. And I'm a big supporter of winning where you can, winning around the edges. And so when I say that protein boosts your metabolism, what I'm referring to is that it has a higher thermic effect than any of the other foods. It has a higher thermic effect than carbohydrates or fat. Now, what does that mean? That means that it takes your body more energy to process protein than it does to process fat or carbohydrates. So if you take in, let's just for the sake of argument, 10 grams or 10 calories, 10 calories worth of protein, 10 calories worth of fat, 10 calories worth of carbohydrates, your body will perhaps, when processing the protein, will perhaps burn 3 calories out of the 10, will burn 3 calories processing the protein. It might burn 1 when it comes to the fat or the carbohydrates. And so your body burns more fat processing, more calories, I should say, processing protein. So it does, through the higher thermic effect, boost your metabolism. The third reason protein matters is because it satisfies you for longer. This is called satiety. When you eat protein, it allows you to feel fuller longer. You see, if you eat a bunch of sugary foods, if you eat a bunch of highly processed foods, you can eat a lot of it. I could eat an entire, I'm sure without question, I could eat an entire bag of, sour cream and onion potato chips. No problem. Give me a bag of sour cream and onion potato chips. I will go through them easy. And then I will feel as if I'm still hungry and need to go get me a hamburger or a steak. If you eat meat, chicken breast, high protein, high fiber foods, and we'll talk about fiber in a minute, it keeps you fuller for longer, keeping the hunger pains away, allowing you to remain in a calorie deficit if you need to be in a calorie deficit. So, how much protein are we shooting for starting this month in April? There's a lot of scientific numbers out there. I'm going to make this as simple for you as I can. Pick your target weight goal and try to get 1 gram of protein for every pound of target body weight. So in my case, let's say my target weight goal is 210 pounds. I'm going to shoot to get 210 grams of protein every single day. Now, and if your target goal is 150 pounds, then you're going to shoot for 150 grams of protein every single day. Now, can you see why it is so difficult to reach your protein intake goals if you're doing a fad, popular diet like intermittent fasting? Again, I used to intermittent fast a lot. It was a passion of mine. But, if you're only eating for 6 hours a day, if you're doing the 6-hour feed window or a 4-hour feed window or even an 8-hour feed window, try to cram 210 grams of protein into a 6-hour window without getting gut problems and gut pain and stomach pain. Not to mention the fact that I think the research is established enough. I wouldn't die on this fact, but I think the research is established enough that your body can only absorb X amount of protein at a time in a certain window so 50 grams of protein in one meal for a few hours, and then maybe another 40 grams and then later, a few hours later. But if you try to cram 210 grams of protein inside of a 3, 4, 5, 6-hour window, your body's ability to absorb all of that protein is diminished tremendously. So we want to make sure that we are taking in 4 to 5 meals a day. 4 meals a day is perfect with some high protein snacks. And you need to start thinking about your snacking. Okay, are you the type that just goes and grabs a Twinkie, a Ho-Ho, or a donut, or some fat, greasy, super processed potato chips? Or do you think about maybe getting some beef jerky, or some elk jerky, some venison jerky, or a worst case scenario? I'm sitting here and I have one of my Bear Bell Creamy Crisp protein bars, 200 calories, but 20 grams of protein. So this is a high protein thing. And yeah, it's more processed than what I would say. I don't want to eat these every day of my life. I don't want to eat them. Well, I don't want to eat them for every meal, I should say. But it's a good high protein snack. So you got to start thinking about that. What are some of the best protein sources? Well, lean cuts of meat. We're talking chicken, turkey, lean cuts of beef, venison, elk, those types of things. Lamb, just things that are leaner but have high protein. These lean cuts of meat, fantastic. One thing that my wife and I do is we go through a tremendous amount of chicken. We buy these big boxes of flash frozen chicken and we put it in our deep freezer. And once a week, we pull out as much as we think we'll need for that week. We thaw it out, and then we put the spices and everything on it, and we cook it in the air fryer. And then we take that air fried chicken and we put it in our fridge, and we have enough chicken to last us for the week. We can make salads, and we can make sandwiches out of it. You can make chicken and rice bowls out of it, so many different things. And so I would suggest you do that. Think ahead and start working on how you can put more protein, clean, lean protein in your fridge and have it ready at your disposal. Eggs are fantastic. We have chickens just so that we can have extra eggs at our house. Egg whites, I think the 95% of the eggs I eat are just the whites. I do throw in a yolk here and there. Yolks are very good for you. The problem I have with them is they're just a little bit more caloric, and I try to stay in a calorie deficit. I'm in a calorie deficit quite often. Not all the time, but quite often. And so it's hard to maintain a calorie deficit if you're eating the whole egg all the time. So I like egg whites. I do like whole eggs as well. I think that the yolk definitely has some amino acids and some benefits to it that you can't just ignore. So whole eggs are really good. Non-fat Greek yogurt, fantastic. I eat so much of this around my house. Non-fat Greek yogurt, mixing it with berries and chia seeds or whatever you want to put in it. It's wonderful. Very high, good quality protein. Cottage cheese, low fat or no fat cottage cheese. You can make all sorts of snacks with it. You can mix it up with some fruit. It's outstanding. And then, of course, a staple at our house is whey protein isolate, because no matter how much you eat, you sometimes still need help getting enough protein throughout the day. So we like whey protein isolate. If you can't afford whey protein isolate, whey protein concentrate is very, very good. But I really prefer the isolate. It is more easily absorbed by the body, does not upset your stomach, whereas concentrate can, depending on if you're lactose intolerant or other issues. Gram for gram, whey protein isolate is a better protein. But the concentrate is fantastic, and if that's what you want, absolutely go for it. Take it. Have at it. I put whey protein isolate in just about everything. I like French toast, and so I'll take my egg whites and I'll weigh them out on the food scale, which I told you to start doing. And then I'll put some whey protein, vanilla whey protein isolate in the eggs, and I'll mix it up with a little blender, and it makes a beautiful, wonderful egg white batter that you then dip your bread in and you make French toast, and it's delicious. So that's just start thinking of ways to increase your protein consumption, because in my case, with 210 grams a day, I need to be getting about 50 grams every meal. If I'm having 4 meals a day, I need about 50 grams of protein every single meal. So you got to start thinking in terms of that. Okay, I need 50 here, I need 50 here, I need 50 here, or I need 40, 40, 40, 40, and some protein snacks throughout the day. Start thinking in terms of increasing your protein at every single meal. The second half of this habit in April is fiber. We need to increase our fiber. We are absolutely under-fibered in America. Now, I just heard just now, I know I heard the carnivore and the keto advocates give out a collective groan, okay? But here at First Responder Fitness, we are not keto and we are not carnivore. We firmly understand the science behind human digestion and the human energy cycle. And humans are a glycolytic being. We are a glycolytic creature. We prefer to use carbohydrates and glucose for energy. And so instead of fighting against natural nature, we're going to actually let it work with us. So we don't cut out any of the food groups here, and we don't recommend that you do either. Fiber has tremendous health benefits, both soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. Both of them have great benefits. Some of the benefits of fiber. Let's just talk about a few of the benefits. The first benefit is digestive health. It supports your gut microbiome and helps keep you regular. Very important. I mean, honestly, a majority of women in the fitness industry have gut issues. Am I wrong or am I right? You tell me. Ladies watching this, comment below. Okay, you don't have to be detailed, but a majority of women in the fitness industry have issues with their gut microbiome. They just do. And it's just the way it is. And fiber can help regulate the gut microbiome. The second benefit that fiber brings you is satiety. It helps you feel full. You take in fiber with every meal and you will feel fuller throughout the day. Very important if you're in a calorie deficit. A third benefit of fiber is blood sugar control. It slows glucose absorption, so it helps regulate your blood sugar. Very important, especially if you're pre-diabetic or if you're diabetic. These things are so important. This particular habit is perhaps the most important habit for those who are pre-diabetic. Cutting out the simple carbohydrates, cutting out the simple sugars, increasing your protein consumption, and increasing your fiber. Those two things will help you in the long run and help fight against the potential onset of diabetes. Finally, another benefit of fiber is heart health. It helps keep your lipids regulated. It helps keep your quote-unquote good cholesterol high, keeps your quote-unquote bad cholesterol low. And I use air quotes for that because that's a very simplistic way of looking at blood cholesterol and the lipid panel that is not 100% accurate. But bottom line is fiber does help keep your lipids in check. So how much fiber do you need? You certainly do not need 1 gram per pound of goal body weight. You'd have an issue if you took in that much. About 20 to 30 grams per day is ideal for most adults, 25, a little higher end. So I usually like to get up near, try to recommend up near 30 grams per day. And how do you do that? Well, there are fiber supplements that you can take, but I highly recommend that you get it from single ingredient whole foods like oats, beans, apples, carrots, whole grains, nuts, seeds, vegetables. You gotta be careful with the seeds because they're high in calories. You eat too many almonds or walnuts, all of those things, all the nuts, they just very high in calories, tremendously high in calories. And so you could blow your calorie allotment for the day by eating too many nuts and seeds. But vegetables, all sorts of vegetables, all sorts of fruits, berries are the king. And you know what's funny is there's a lot of influencers out there who they put their finger in the wind. They say, okay, which way is the wind blowing? Which way is the crowd going so that I can lead them there, right? Like, which way is the crowd going so I can lead them there? They don't have really true north. They don't have true principles other than trying to make money and trying to sell you crap. And you can see that in the world of people like Paul Saladino, who at one point was, I think he was even vegan at one point, and then he went total carnivore. And now, because there's this trend to meat and fruit, the meat and fruit diet, yay! He's now meat and fruit. And a lot of carnivores are becoming meat and fruit or meat and berries. Guess what? Berries have always been good for you. Okay? They've always been fantastic for you. You should have been eating them all along when you were eating bull testicles and sheep gonads or whatever you eat. No. These crazy, crazy, crazy extreme diets, these fad diets are nonsensical. Stick to the good, rational, reasonable diets that we talk about here at First Responder Fitness. So if you want to increase your fiber, oats, beans, apples, carrots, whole grains, nuts, vegetables, and just make sure that you're getting enough vegetables. I always make the joke that I'm vegetable intolerant. I don't really like vegetables, but I eat them. I eat them, and I try to eat them often. My wife makes sure that I eat them. So that's it. That is the goal for month number 4. Month number 4, increase your protein, increase your fiber. I want to remind you, you can go on any of our social media links. You can go to our link tree and get the free downloadable Habits to Healthy in 1 Year. We have a guide, just a one-page guide for each month, and you can download this month's guide. It has some helpful habits, helpful preparation ideas, some helpful tips on how to succeed at this particular habit. I encourage you to go and download those. I also encourage you to go back on the YouTube or Spotify playlist and look for the playlist that says Habits to Healthy in 1 Year and get on board with our program. If you have any questions at all, comment below. I will answer them all personally myself. I'll get back to you as soon as I can, and I will try to help you walk through this. I am in your corner. I am cheering you on. I am absolutely excited and ecstatic for the future that you have as you focus on your health and your prosperity, as you focus on your mental, spiritual, and physical health. I wish you luck, and I wish you the best at everything that you do. I'm Carl Wimmer, reminding you to be good to yourself, be good to others, and as always, stay safe.